Yo, welcome back. I'm about to break for the weekend, so I thought before I completely tuned out that I would leave some tips for the 4th of July weekend. This weekend is like buffet weekend where we're all having like hamburgers and hot dogs and hot dog buns and potato chips, and we're drinking alcohol and sodas and diet sodas. So here are my tips for a healthier weekend. I hope you enjoy them. Numero uno. Avoid the hot dogs and the processed meats. You don't have to put the salami on top of the cracker if you're going to have a cracker in the first place. You don't want to know how they make hot dogs, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's called AMR, Advanced Meat Recovery. And so what the companies do is after they take all the different cuts of meat off the cow, we'll say, they're left with this carcass. And they don't waste any part of that carcass, all right? And so they have this machine, and the machine acts like a squeegee. So they feed that carcass through it, and it squeegees everything off of the bone. We're talking about the sinew, we're talking about the brains, we're talking about the eyeballs. Everything goes into your hot dog. So how does that eyeball taste? On top of that, meat is supposed to change colors after a few days, even when you put it in the refrigerator. But hot dogs and processed meats tend to stay red for some reason. And the reason why is because the company adds chemicals to it. They add sodium nitrate or sodium nitrite to the hot dogs, to the processed meat. And those nitrites and nitrates are part of a family called nitrosamines. And nitrosamines are highly carcinogenic. The USDA actually tried to ban them back in the 1970s, but the food companies ended up winning out because of their lobbying. Now, the thing about nitrates is that scientists and researchers use them to induce cancer in lab animals. All right? So you're literally eating cancer. Not a good idea. Number 2, lose the bun. I know you're going to have hamburgers, and you know how I do it. I'm never going to recommend that you have regular ground beef. Rather you have grass-fed instead. I think I just saw another recall for ground beef this morning on the news again. But if you're going to do it, lose the bun, wrap it up in some lettuce. It's much healthier for you and actually tastes a lot better. Take some nuts with you, all right? Instead of snacking on potato chips, because, you know, when you start eating potato chips, you kind of never stop. Just go ahead with some nuts. The fat and the protein in the nuts are going to keep you a lot fuller. So do that. Third up, move around. Do something. Get off your butt and be active. Just because it's your day off doesn't mean that you have to like sit there all day and read a book, or you have to lay there all day. Get up, play some frisbee, get into that flag football game, chase your kids around. This is your day when you don't have to try to squeeze in some exercise. So do it. You'll feel better and you'll burn off some of that bad food that you might have had. Next up, and probably most important, you got to get some sun. Everybody's so afraid of the sun these days. The sun is your friend. The sun gives you life. Hundreds of thousands of people die every year in the US alone because they don't get enough sun. All right, so you don't have to lather yourself in sunscreen before you even walk out the door tomorrow. Soak up some of those rays, all right? Those rays are going to help your body convert cholesterol into vitamin D3, and vitamin D3 is your primary cancer fighter. And one thing that people don't really know about and hasn't become mainstream is that they clear. Scientific research shows that the further away you move away from the equator, the higher your risk of cancer is. All right, so you got to get that sun. The idea is that you don't want to burn, okay? Burning is no good. And so you want to keep an eye on your skin. If your skin starts to turn a really light pink, that's when it's time to put some sunscreen on, all right? If you know that you burn in 25 minutes in the sun, well then start to put on your sunscreen 20 minutes into it, all right? Just don't burn. For darker skinned people like me, we're going to have to stay out in the sunlight a whole lot longer than lighter skinned people, all right? Because we have like a natural sunblock on, all right? I live in San Diego, and the sun is out pretty much all year long, and I literally stay outside for hours at a time without having to put sunblock on, all right? If you use sunscreen, you want to use UV Naturals, all right? So look that up, UV Naturals. by far the best sunscreen that you'll find. There's no carcinogenic chemicals in it. All right, it's crazy to me that people don't want to get skin cancer, so they put on sunscreens with a bunch of carcinogenic, cancer-causing ingredients in it. It doesn't make sense. All right, so get some sun. Lots and lots of good articles on Mercola.com. He also has a really good video about it, and I'm gonna link it up. I'm gonna post it in the little box next to this video, so check that out. Last but not least, stay hydrated. This is incredibly important, especially if you're out in hot weather. Make sure you get half of your body weight in ounces of water at least. And when I say water, I mean water. Not fruit juice, not soda, not diet soda, but water. If you're going to be having alcoholic beverages, try to match each drink with the same amount of water. That way you'll stay hydrated, you won't get as drunk, and you definitely won't be as hungover tomorrow. And we all know how that is. And so those are my tips for the 4th of July and the 4th of July weekend. I'll be right back at you next week. Make sure you stay safe, don't drink and drive, and I'll see you next time. Peace.